Can I get some water? Come on up here. Give me some water. I want a glass of water. I want a glass of water. Sit down. I'm all right. I'm going to get a glass of water right here. Let's make sure we find one. It'll be filtered. Hold on. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Hold on a second. Now, the reason I know I'm okay is because I already had some Flint water. There we go. I really did need a glass of water. This is not a stunt. Now, I'm going to talk about this. Everybody settle down. This is a feisty crowd. Hold on a second. All right, everybody settle down. I got some serious points to make here.
Hey there YouTube, Bed Bath & Bongs here. So we're doing another historical documentary, blurb anyways. This time we're going to be doing it on President Barack Hussein Obama. He's somebody that I actually did vote for his re-election against Mitt Romney. I wasn't quite old enough to vote for him the first time around. I probably would have then as well, because to be honest with you, I did like his rhetoric at the time. I thought, he was just a leftist who was trying to play within the system. I realize now he's just a corrupt corporate crony, to be honest. But yeah, I'll be getting into a lot of that in my video here. Let's go ahead and start with, who is Barack Obama? He was born on August 4th, 1961 in Honolulu, Hawaii. Despite what you may have heard. He graduated from Columbia University in 1983, and he worked as a community organizer in Chicago, Illinois, until 1988, when he enrolled in Harvard Law School. He was the first black person to be president of the Harvard Law Review, and after graduating became a civil rights attorney and academic, teaching constitutional law at the University of Chicago Law School from 1992 until 2004, and then when he turned to elective politics, he represented the 13th District from 1997 until 2004, when he ran for the U.S. Senate. And then, of course, in 2004, he received national attention due to his primary win in his well-received Democratic National Convention keynote address, which I do remember, when it was John Kerry trying to defeat George W. Bush. Obama signed many landmark bills, or at least are considered accomplishments, starting with the Affordable Care Act, the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act, the Don't Ask, Don't Tell Repeal Act of 2010, the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009, also known as the stimulus bill, the first one, the Tax Relief, Unemployment Insurance Reauthorization, and Job Creation Act of 2010, which again was another stimuli, which of course most of the stimulus money that Obama raised in those bills, given to corporations and the like. Who would have thunk? So let's go over the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. So there are some good things about it. I mean, don't get me wrong, compared to pre-Obama healthcare system, it did improve. The major provisions came into force by 2014. By 2016, the uninsured share of the population had roughly halved. So half of the people that were uninsured before are now insured. That's good. Granted. estimates ranging from 20 to 24 million additional people covered. The law also enacted a host of delivery system reforms intended to constrain healthcare costs and to improve quality. It went into effect, increases in overall health care spending slowed, including premiums for employee-based insurance plans. But here's the part that they don't talk about a lot. The reason a lot more people were covered, the increased coverage, was due to the expansion of the Medicaid eligibility. So meaning a lot of those 20 to 24 million people, they are now eligible for Medicaid, which is government health care. Almost like a public option in a way for specific people. And look at that. Look at that. So the issue with Obamacare is first off pretty obvious. Not everyone is covered. There's still going to be people that don't get health care. At least if they do get health care, they're going to go into tremendous debt as a result. Right off the bat, glaring issue with Obamacare. The second issue with Obamacare is that it only works if the individual mandate is within the law. Otherwise, the prices shoot sky high. That's already been struck down by the Supreme Court. And then, on top of that, everything that Trump has done to the Affordable Care Act, it's on life support. It barely helps anybody. Once Biden gets back into power, maybe he'll put more funding in. He said that he's introduced a public health option, which would be good. It's not quite Medicare for all like we need, but it's better than regular Obamacare. That's the right track. But Obamacare as is, after Trump has demolished it, it's garbage. And if it's that easy, then what's the point? Just so we can have health care while Obama's president? And the last problem with Obamacare is that you're still dealing with insurance companies. It's a right-wing plan that Mitt Romney put into effect in his state when he was governor there. And you still have the mafia middlemen making money off of this, driving the prices up. That's why you need a government healthcare system, like most of the industrialized nations across the world. You can call it Medicare for all. You can call it Obamacare if you want. It can't be the same Obamacare. It would actually have to be a public health system for every single citizen of this country. One great thing that I think Obama did was improved our relations with Cuba. And we dropped a lot of these retarded regulations and censures and such that we have against Cuba. It really doesn't make sense. They're a pretty well-run country. I'm not a huge fan of Fidel Castro, but I get where some of the negative feelings were there. But he's dead. I mean, we can move on. There's actually a lot we can learn from Cuba. I mean, they have a pretty fantastic healthcare system concerning how poor they are. Just in terms of their GDP, that kind of thing. And then beyond that, they have one of the highest housing rates in the world. 98 to 99% of their citizens are housed. They own their own home. The home ownership rates are ridiculous in Cuba. If I was going to live anywhere in South America or Hispaniola, I would definitely want to live in Cuba. But yeah, in December of 2014, President Obama and Cuban President at the time, Raul Castro, began taking steps to improve relations between the U.S. and Cuba. The historic prisoner swap between the U.S. and Cuba in December of 2014 marked a very significant shift in White House policy towards Cuba since the implementation of the 1962 embargo. January of 2015, the Obama administration took executive action to ease several strict restrictions on travel to Cuba by U.S. citizens. February of 2015, several restrictions affecting the importing and exporting of goods between the U.S. and Cuba were also lifted. Yada yada. And then by March of 2016, postal service has been resumed. Hotel services, U.S. companies like Airbnb and Netflix started operating in Cuba. I know Trump has backed up some of that a little bit, but we're still on pretty good terms with Cuba. So, bravo, Obama. And I mean, there's probably a couple things here and there, but I really need to move on to what really makes my blood boil, and is the fact that this man, his entire campaign for his first election, was built on anti-war rhetoric and getting us out of Iraq and Afghanistan. By this time, the war fatigue that Americans were feeling were already sky high. And how long is it later now, and we're still in these wars? Honestly, if Trump does pull us out of Afghanistan, I'd probably put him not much lower on the list than Obama as far as presidents. Before he took office in 2008, Barack Obama vowed to end America's grueling conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan. During his second term, he pledged to take the country off of what he called a permanent war footing. Quote unquote, "Our systematic effort to dismantle terrorist organizations must continue," he said in May 2013. "But this war, like all wars, must come to an end. That's what history advises. It's what our democracy demands." But Obama leaves a very different legacy as he prepares to hand his commander-in-chief responsibilities to Donald Trump. Handed these wars off to Donald fucking Trump. Obama slashed the number of U.S. troops in war zones from 150,000 to 14,000 and stopped the flow of American soldiers coming home in body bags. That, of course, was before ISIS came, and he sent his people right back in. And then on top of that, he got involved in multiple countries, including Tunisia. He reluctantly approved a NATO air campaign in Libya, initially aimed at preventing massacres of civilians, but really it was to take out Gaddafi. The messy aftermath in Libya made Obama realize the limitations of military power in achieving U.S. goals, and that shaped the rest of his presidency. But no, it wasn't just Gaddafi, it wasn't just Iraq and Afghanistan. In his first term, Obama tried to turn attention away from the Middle East and pivoted towards the Asian Pacific region. But that focus on Asia faded as other threats emerged, including Al-Shabaab in Somalia, Al-Qaeda reared its ugly head in Yemen, Al-Sharia in Libya, the Taliban in Pakistan, and of course ISIS. It took 3 years, but in July the White House said up to 164 civilians had been killed in 473 airstrikes during Obama's tenure, and that mostly involved drones. That tally did not include the wars in Iraq, Syria, or Afghanistan. Independent groups put the death toll much higher, saying hundreds of civilians were killed outside the war zones, and many hundreds more in them. The war in Syria proved the greatest challenge for Obama, and much of his legacy may well depend on how history views his response. In August 2012, Obama publicly warned that President Bashar al-Assad would cross a red line if his forces used chemical weapons against rebels seeking his ouster. A year later, when poison gas attacks killed hundreds in rebel-held areas of Damascus, Obama faced a decision: make good on his implied threat and launch cruise missiles and bombers against Syria's government and military, or back down to keep America out of a civil war. Obama initially appeared on the verge of ordering a massive attack, with the Pentagon moving warships into place, but then he hit the brakes. Next day, Obama appeared in the Rose Garden to say he was prepared to order airstrikes, but that American people deserved a vote. He asked Congress to pass a joint resolution authorizing the use of force in Syria. When lawmakers made clear they would reject the resolution, no vote was held and no missiles were launched. Instead, prodded by UN Security Council resolution, Syria handed over 1,300 tons of chemicals and other material used to make sarin nerve gas and mustard blister agent. This, of course, is the same red line that Trump used when debating whether to get into Syria or not. And he slowly did, in a roundabout way. And it was the same reason, gas attacks. Which, from what I understand, there were some accusations that it wasn't even Assad who did the gas attacks. It may have been rebel groups. Who the fuck knows? Since its opening in 2002, the complex on a remote 45 square mile parcel of land that has been leased from Cuba as a U.S. naval base since 1903 has held as many as 779 prisoners at one time. George W. Bush. The bulk has either been sent home or to third countries, including 532 who were released before Obama came to office, when just 242 detainees remained. Other countries have agreed, under intense U.S. coaxing, to take in Guantanamo detainees. They have included Serbia, Italy, and Montenegro. This week's deal is sending 15 detainees to the United Arab Emirates, reducing the remaining population of the facility by 1/5, leaving only 61 men behind. Of those 14 men, they were believed to be languishing in a special part of the prison called Camp 7. Now keep in mind, this was written in 2016. Trump has only put more prisoners back into Guantanamo. And can you imagine the torturous practices that is being done to them? I mean, it's all well and good to give up your rights when you have someone like Obama in office, who, I mean, don't get me wrong, on a certain level, he's definitely a psychopath. But I think he has a little bit of restraint. Whereas Trump, he doesn't. He doesn't have any restraint. No matter what, the way that he sees it, he wins. And if you get in his way, fuck you.